Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yeah, Ted, dear friend of mine, of so many in Winnipeg and Manitoba, born in Brandon, Westman guy, has connections in Saskatchewan as well. It is wild how, the courageous battle he had went the way it did. He was so hopeful. We were all so hopeful when, the diagnosis came about in the spring, and it just seemed like he had no fortune in every step of the way through the season. It was even a week ago where, his colleague and good friend of ours, Paul Friesen of the Winnipeg Sun, like a week ago, we went and saw Ted, and Ted's still talking about when he's coming back, not if, when he's coming back. And then pretty quickly, things turned on him, but he passed away Saturday morning. And it's almost like he was shining down on his hometown Winnipeg, because it was a truly super sports Saturday in Winnipeg. You had the Jets capture their NHL record-breaking 14th win in their 15th game of the season. And then later that night, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers winning the West Final in very convincing fashion, getting to a fifth straight Grey Cup game. The outpouring of love for him, so deserved. I know people who were closer to Ted than I was, but, I spent a lot of time with him at work, at play, and then to be at a Grey Cup where he really embodied who he was at Grey Cup week, working hard, playing harder, and just being in the fabric of Canadian sports. We're honoring Ted with this patch. I actually, the morning he passed away, I designed that up quickly. I thought that was a little bit more Ted style than just like a traditional TW block letters, that you'll see initials honored, for fallen friends. But yeah, he's the topic of conversation in such a respectful and heartfelt way. Every corner you turn here in the Grey Cup City just shows the type of person he was and the impact that he made. 30 years as a sports reporter and editor of the Winnipeg Sun.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Have you ever seen a coach, whether it be on a football life or any sports that you've played, come into the room after a win and said, guys or gals, great win, but we didn't win by enough, so go run the stairs? Said no coach ever. Shut up with that.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
I don't know what got into me that day. I don't know why I was so grumpy that day. I'm not today. Hello, Canada and 32 U.S. states. Welcome to the RP Show. Coming at you on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio. I'm back in the South Florida studio, but dressed for winter. As you see, I have my Grey Cup bunny hug on. Moose is in Toronto, home of the 2024 CFL Grey Cup champion Toronto Argonauts. And coming up over the next 2 hours, we're going to have a lot of fun. The guests include ESPN Radio Cincinnati's Mo Egger. They're not having much fun lately. We'll get into that with Mo later on this hour. And Jersey Jim Biringer to talk NHL. And Tommy Cutlets is back on the scene for the Giants. Jersey Jim will talk a little NFL with us. Moose, how are you doing? Are you ready to have some fun today?
I am. I'm ready to hear all about Grey Cup, and it's good to be back on a Monday.
Listen, here's the thing. Those are the guests. Producer Clark's back producing. We've got director Rocco directing. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please? Director Rocco. Blah, 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 boom.
How about that?
Just so far, you guys are doing great. So far. He gave us a disclaimer. Rocco says, I haven't done this for a while. He'll be fine.
Approved.
In my own mind, Darren, I was asking myself questions. Rod, what was the highlight of the Grey Cup for you? There were many. Probably the Athletes in Action breakfast Saturday morning. I really enjoyed that. Saw some great friends. Thank you to Jared Lacoste. He's the Saskatchewan Roughriders chaplain for the invite. I sat with some Argos parents. Okay, now it's coming to me. I had three people sitting around me, Darren. One guy goes, he was the Bombers chaplain. He goes, I thought you were doing the show from Saskatchewan. No. The one Argos dad goes, I thought you were in Toronto. Nope. And a guy that's a jail guard in Florida whose kid is a coach for the Bombers, he goes, I thought you were doing the show from Florida. I'm like, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. That was all Saturday morning. And that night, if Kevin the Medium's watching right now, which he probably is, he can attest, Darren, we're walking around the concourse at Rogers Arena, the home of the Canucks. I had to go watch Connor Bedard play. And I saw this. You remember those red Canucks jerseys that were like red on the bottom and they kind of morphed into black? Remember that from the 90s? And I'm thinking, I'm looking at this guy wearing it on the concourse. I'm thinking to myself, that is the ugliest of all the Canucks jerseys. That's the ugliest. That guy turns and goes, "You're Rod Pedersen." I'm like, totally stunned me as I'm examining. He goes, "I watch Game Plus TV. I watch the Rod Pedersen show every day." I'm like, I said, "Well, thank you. What's your name?" "Mike." I'm like, "Mike, of all the jerseys, that's my least favorite of the Canucks." He's like, "Thanks." He didn't quite know what to say. So it was, what I realized is they're all watching. God bless all the viewers and the listeners, and everything is going great. I'm going to get into the actual Grey Cup game in a second, but not to mention Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, NHL leftovers, NFL leftovers. We have a lot to get to today, but what was your highlight of the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, well, my weekend, the highlight was the Grey Cup, watching the Grey Cup game. It always is every year, getting home in time. And, I was busy this weekend. So unfortunately, I was kind of living Grey Cup vicariously through your social media feeds. So thank you for that, because I was on the road in Kitchener calling hockey, and then, in Oshawa on Sunday and out in St. Catharines on Saturday. So it was a busy, busy weekend, 3-3. But thanks to the OHL, like, they cared about the Grey Cup enough to schedule all their Sunday games at 2 in the afternoon. So you can be done early, home in time. And I raced home. Like, I cut the post game, chit chat short to race home because I knew there'd be traffic. And thankfully the game was delayed by about an hour. It usually is, due to pregame pomp and circumstance and all the rest. So it ended up being a really nice Sunday.
I see the comments from the viewers are just going off the chain right now, so I'm just going to tell you, just hang on. We're going to get to as much as we can. But Winnipeg lost its third consecutive Grey Cup. I'm going to tell you right now, I respect that town. They love this show. So I get that the fans are throwing dirt on them, and now that's not going to be us. I had a lot of Bomber fans come up to me and say, "Rod, we watch the show every day. You do a great job." So I'm a CFL guy, in the Rider alumni, but I just love the league. It's in my soul. I was realizing this on the weekend too. I've left leagues before and never thought of them again, and they've never thought of me. Something about the CFL, it's like right in my DNA. And I think yours too. It's totally awesome, but the people were so great. If people want to write in and laugh and say what they want about the Bombers losing, you do that, do whatever you want. But that's not going to be me. And I think that's largely all I had to say about that. So let's get down to business. Hey, Ryan, you still... Wake up, Rocco. Can you hit the quick six show horn again? That's enough stories. Can you hit it?
Let's go.
He's doing great. Point one, backup quarterback Nick Fatty Arbuckle. I've only been calling him that for 5 years. Now you know who he is. He's the Grey Cup MVP. And the Toronto Argonauts are CFL champions. Toronto beat Winnipeg 41-24 in the title game Sunday night in Vancouver. The Argos won their 19th Grey Cup and improved to 8-0 against the Bombers in the big game. So some numbers and some stats. It was the biggest blowout in almost 30 years, just so you know. Toronto pretty much, I think you'd agree, Darren, controlled from pillar to post. Winnipeg didn't really challenge at any point in the game. Their quarterback, Zach Collaros, got hurt, came back in, but he threw all kinds of interceptions, threw the game away that way. Defense wins championships, and the Argos proved that. I said to you, obviously, don't ever bet against pinball, but I also said maybe I didn't say it to you because you weren't on the air with us from Grey Cup, but I said, Arbuckle can spin it. We've all been watching him since he came into the league with Calgary, and maybe the Stamps should go back and get him. All this stuff there is to unpack over the next month or two, Darren. What do you need Chad Kelly for? Who nobody mentioned his name, although some of his teammates unfurled his jersey on the sideline. That's a whole other story. But for the biggest blowout in almost 30 years, since the 97 Grey Cup, I think, which Toronto also won, Darren, had a lot of drama. You know what I'm saying? For a game that wasn't really, mind you, it was close going to the fourth quarter. I think 1 point, and Toronto scored 24 points in the fourth quarter, just took it away.
Yeah, it's a game, and it always ends up that way, doesn't it? When you watch the game, I'm like, this really isn't a masterpiece of a football game. Defenses are making plays, which is great, but it's a lot of mistakes or a lot of just not executing long drives or flashy plays. There's not a lot of excitement, not a lot of lead changes. Wasn't a lot going on, just some field goals early, the one touchdown and by Kevin Mattel. And you thought about that. But then as the game moved along, you're right. There was some drama. There was the 4 interceptions. There was the bloody finger from Zach Collaros. Nick Arbuckle starting to take some chances and, making some plays. And then that defense, the special teams, block punt that turned into a penalty. There was some drama in this game, and it ended up being quite entertaining in the end.
We'll spend some time on this. As I said, I want to get to the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight, NHL and NFL leftovers. But one thing I realized quite a few years ago is for me to be successful, it's from playing hockey, actually, I need to zone right in and block everything else out. And for me, that's the CFL. And then I can do it better than anybody. But if I got distractions and I'm thinking of other things, I'm useless. So I'm all in on the CFL stuff, so give me that here. And not you, the viewers here that want to talk about other things, because there's a lot of CFL fans have showed up. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, writes in, he says, was this the best Grey Cup festival in recent memory? Looks like Amar Dolman took the festival and production to the next level. You saw what I was saying, Darren. You produced the memes. It had a Super Bowl feel. And you've been to the Super Bowl with me. That's a different feel than what we've been used to over the years with the Grey Cup. It's not a one's better than the other type thing. It's just big. You know what I mean? Very well run, not all over the place. They took it to the next level. And then you got Larry Tannenbaum there, the most powerful man in Canadian sport, the president of not only the Argonauts, but all of MLSE, or the chairman of MLSE. Keith Pelley's the president. He gets handed the Grey Cup, and people are bitching about that. I'm like, yo, Larry Tannenbaum is the CFL's daddy. Okay? Of course he's going to get the Grey Cup. Dolman, Tannenbaum, probably Quebec War, and Pierre Pelledeau, the president, they're taking the CFL to places we've never seen before. And to the people that want to stay small and little podunk, 9 teams, 2 with the same name, that's cute. That's not the way they're going to do this anymore. Okay? Those guys are taking it to the next level, and it's fun to sit back and see where they're taking it. So Nelson says that about, is this the greatest festival? I'll say yes, and I've been to 20 plus, 22, 23. What did it look like from your view on what he's saying?
Yeah, it looked good. I mean, largely we live through what we see on TV and social media. Thank God for social media. Like on TV, it looked good, but it looked like every other Grey Cup. Every Grey Cup looks great, when you're just watching the pregame and a little bit of the game and whatnot. But it did. It looked good. And some of the comments on social were talking about how great it was, which was awesome too. And on the Grey Cup being handed out, I saw that too. And, that is one thing that's wonderful about the CFL as opposed to, the NFL. And the NHL is the same, is the cup gets handed to the players, right? And that's a big thing. But in order to grow, you need to bring more people in and more people with money and power and influence. And Larry Tannenbaum, MLSE, carries a little bit of that. And sometimes, whether it's right or wrong for what you want the game to be, you need to stroke the ego a little bit. You need to make them feel good, really open the doors. Because too many times when somebody new comes along like that, the CFL, I'm not saying the CFL does this, but, people like groups like that would be like, you haven't been here. No, we don't want you in. If you don't know our thing, if you're not part of our group, you got to get in line and you got to earn it. And it's like, no. Open the doors. Be welcoming. Hey, you guys won. You want the trophy first? Let's get you in a suite. Hey, let's bring you down to field level. Let's see what we can do. And all of a sudden, you make him feel good about being around the CFL. And what does that make him want to do? Be around the CFL more and tell his buddies. And that's how you grow, with open doors, not barriers.
And influence. This will upset some people when I say it, but I don't care. I've never had money my whole life. And now I do. So I didn't know what it was like to have power and influence and resources. I never had it. Now I do. It makes a difference. And as somebody said to me down here like a year or two ago, they're like, Rod, it's America. Money matters here. Matters in certain segments of Canada, too. So come on in, Larry Tannenbaum. What can we do for you? Can I rub your feet? They're taking to the CFL to places it's never been before. And they're nice places. Just buckle up for the ride. Puck and Pigskin podcast, and Red Deer writes in and says, I'm just glad I didn't have to keep refreshing the feed to watch like I did with the big fight Friday night. Okay, we're going to go there, huh? Okay. Just before we do, the very first, Ken in Mississauga wrote in and said, Rod, very first comment, he goes, what did you think about what Kadeem Carey had to say after the game about the Calgary Stampeders? This was the Toronto running back, identified, developed by Calgary, and then signed in Toronto as a free agent. He crapped all over specifically Dave Dickinson after the game last night, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, and said he's fired everybody but himself. He needs to look in the mirror. We ain't the problem. Look at us. Here's what I'll say about that, and I appreciate the question. I've never seen a boss fire himself. So some do. Alan Ford did it with the Saskatchewan Roughriders in 1999. That's a different story, everything's different about that. But I had not a long, but a meaningful chat with Jay McNeil, the president of the Stampeders, Friday at the Legends Lunch. He gets it. Okay, so we're not talking about presidents that never played the game and are business guys and, dare I say, bean counters that they don't understand what's going on. Okay, they're the boss, but they don't know. Believe it happens, folks. You can't fool Jay McNeil. He knows. Okay? So you don't think it's sitting well with him that they were the worst team in the CFL record-wise. You're not getting one past Jay McNeil. So Kadeem Carey can say what he wants, and it's still fresh for him. Less than a year after leaving Calgary probably hurts, but I would say to him what I would say to anybody and what I've said to myself, look forward, not back, because you're not going that way. Friday night, Darren, I'll say this, with the Netflix thing. Can I slip this in here? Next TV contract, how about if we did this? 3 games a week on TSN, 1 on Netflix. Can we do that? Assuming by then Netflix will have figured out the bugs. Now, I was watching the show with Kevin the Medium. We had an Airbnb in Vancouver. It was awesome. I didn't have any of the streaming issues that I was seeing on social media from everybody that was going nuts, that they outright lost the feed. I feel like everybody got it in time, didn't they? That Netflix worked out the bug. I was able to watch it. Were you able to watch it? Or did you watch it? I didn't.
I did watch it. I had to go back and kind of watch the beginning and then fast forward, and then it would buffer. And so I think I'm pretty sure I watched it and it wasn't live when I watched it, but I'm not sure. I watched it within 5 minutes of the fight being live or 10 minutes of the fight being live. And I also found out doing a little reading on this, it was only in North America that there was some problems. The rest of the world, where there was a ton of views, I guess they didn't have any streaming issues. So maybe it's a server grid issue. Who knows?
Well, I could sit here and talk about this forever, but and we're up against it for a break here, but we had a nice night. We ordered Chinese food and watched Netflix, me and Kev. It was a warm, cozy little night. Kevin the Medium.
How about that?
I hit the roof when Jerry Jones came on. I don't know if you saw. You should be busy trying to figure out what the hell's wrong with your football team instead of jumping in front of cameras. That's all of what the Dallas Cowboys problem is right there. But it was very, very late by the time they hit the ring. Was after midnight Eastern, I think. Ish. It was late for me. Late. Yeah, and
I called the game, drove 2 hours home, and still had an hour before the fight started.
Serena says to the world on social media, she goes, what did you think was going to happen? Use your brains. One's 58 years old, the other guy's a YouTuber. And I'm like, I don't bite when she says these things. She's the female me. She just says stuff to see what you'll say about it. And Kevin the Medium went back at her. And I'm like, no. Here's what I expected to see. A knockout. Mike Tyson had 44. I think Jake Paul's had double digits knockout. Somebody's going to get knocked out here. It was bad. Mike Tyson couldn't move. We're all waiting for something to happen, and it never did. Just like the Roy Jones Jr. fight, which you were with me, we watched at Ballers during COVID. We always continue to get sucked in. And I wasn't actually going to watch the fight, but I woke up from a nap and Kevin had it on, the show. I'm like, okay. Because I didn't think it was necessarily going to be great. I'm like, okay, I got a sports talk show. We need to talk about this. I did not expect it would be that bad. And it was that bad. Plenty more to get to. We'll be back in a moment. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, of course, also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Brought to you by Culligan. Drink clean, live green. Filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. Going through the best and worst of the weekend. And we haven't even got to the NHL and NFL yet. And trust me, I want to. Let's bring the Moose in. I'm back home in South Florida. Going to be here a while. Feels good. Feels good to have this Grey Cup hoodie on, too. But I don't think I'll be able to wear it for the rest of the winter. But I was cold in Vancouver. When's the last time you were in Vancouver, Moose?
When was I in Vancouver? It's been a bit, honestly, since I've been in Vancouver. I can't remember the last time. It wasn't that long ago. I knew I had a flight through there, but not recently.
Okay, well, let me say this. What I learned is we have a lot of viewers in Vancouver and the West Coast, and I appreciate those that came up and said they watch every day. It's sad. Homeless problem. 30 years ago when I first started going there were a few. Now it's an army. Vast amounts of homeless people there. It's a sad sign that they don't talk about it. Nobody's been able to fix it. A lot of smart people have tried, thrown a lot of money at it. People need to understand that it starts here, inside. That's all. That's my sermon of the day. Take care of each other. It is. My stomach turned, and it's young people out there. So take care of each other and take care of yourself. Hey, let me just rip this. We'll come back on the CFL stuff. Hour 1, we go through the past. Hour 2, viewer takeover and look to tonight. So I want to just say get your take on this. I'm only at point 3 already. NHL leftovers. Mitch Marner scored 30 seconds into overtime as the Maple Leafs down the Oilers 4-3 Saturday night. Edmonton defenseman Darnell Nurse was bloodied and had to be helped to the locker room after taking a hit to the head from Toronto forward Ryan Reeves early in the second period. Reeves was assessed a match penalty in a game misconduct. As of yet, we haven't heard of a suspension, have we? To me, it doesn't look any worse than anything I've seen. Did he get 5? That seemed like a lot to me. What he got a match at the time in a game 5. He's just a big guy. Yeah, but that's me. My mind is in the 80s and 90s, and I can't get caught up. So, do you think 5 is right?
It's probably appropriate. I had Oiler fans in my DMs that were calling for, double-digit games, like 10 games or more. There's a bit of a history with Ryan Reeves, for sure. He plays on an edge, all the rest. And then there's been a lot of debate about where does the onus on these hits fall? Is it always on the person hitting? Is it sometimes on the person coming around the net to keep their head up and not be in vulnerable spots and all the rest? I'm with some of the analysts I've seen where I don't believe there was any ill intent. Like, I don't believe there was intention to hurt anybody. Do I believe he was trying to make a big play and, deliver a devastating, punishing check? Yes. But when you miss, you got to pay the price, and there's a penalty to be had, and this is it. And the more times it happens, the more suspensions you deal with, the more times you're caught in these situations, the higher the suspension goes. If it was a first-time offense, it might be a game or 2. It's not always just about the severity of the hit. So I'm okay with 5. Nothing more, nothing less.
You just can't play that way anymore. I get it. But that's why I'm not a director of discipline for a league, because I would be okay with them taking each other's heads off out there. That's what I grew up.
Did he die? No, you're good.
Exactly. BW in Edmonton says, good morning, RP squad. I am convinced that Pinball Clemens should be the next CFL commissioner. But why? He's doing great the way he is. He's got like 8 Grey Cups. He doesn't need the money. He should be, but he won't be. And he's a very close friend of mine. That's not on Pinball's radar. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in, he says, it's tough to fix the homelessness when houses in Vancouver start at $1.5 million. Sure, but move. It's not as much about homelessness. It's about addiction. What do you have? What?
No, you say move. Like, guess what? The place that you want to live doesn't necessarily accommodate you. If you make less money, you got to live where it's cheaper to live. Like, it's okay. There's places that exist all across Canada and we'll have this argument all across the world where, it's cheaper to live. Some places are more expensive. We can't all live in Beverly Hills.
If you don't like where you are, move. You're not a tree. You're welcome. Serena and I were watching some show on Netflix recently, and there was this big, huge acreage out in the woods in Georgia or North Carolina or someplace. And Serena's like, well, if we wanted to live in one of those states, we could have a massive spread like that. I'm like, well, we don't. We're exactly where we want to be, so we're good.
And it doesn't matter how cheap it used to be. It's not anymore.
Not at all. Tony from George Fox Country writes in. He says, all West Coast cities have homeless armies. My son said it's unbelievable in Portland, Oregon. It's sad. It ain't great in Calgary either, bro. As you know, it's all over. Rocky says it was a hell of a great Grey Cup weekend. Had a lot of fun. Vancouver did a great job. It might be the best Grey Cup ever. And just going back to money, by the way, the festival, and going back to money, it means something. They'll tally up the receipts. Would it have made as much money as what I think is the record? We were $93 million in 2013 in Sask. I think Edmonton did $97 million in 2018, which, by the way, was the largest, most attended Grey Cup in the last decade. If I have that right, they made a lot of money. They did great. Let me just mention this. We'll do more hockey in hour two. Sergei Bobrovsky stopped 27 shots for his 45th career shutout. Alexander Barkov, who adorns our set every day, his bobblehead's just over here. You can't see him right now. He had a shorty and 2 assists. And the Florida Panthers blanked the NHL leading Winnipeg Jets 5-0. It wasn't even a contest. It wasn't a great weekend for Winnipeg. They know that. We'll move on. Jets and Panthers meet, I think it's Tuesday night, though, for a return engagement. And I expect a different game. But as far as the Stanley Cup preview, if that's what it is, wasn't much of a game Saturday night. Steven Stamkos scored twice as the Predators beat the Canucks 5-3 Sunday. Ovi recorded his 31st hat trick in a 5-2 Capitals win over the Vegas Golden Knights. He's now 29 away from passing Wayne. Looks like it's going to happen this year. By the way, somebody said this to me on the weekend because I went to the Blackhawks and Canucks Saturday night. One of those viewers on the concourse asked me how I feel. How will I feel if Ovi passes Wayne? I'm like, if he does that, he's earned it. I don't care that he's Russian. I don't care. I'm at a point, too, by the way, as far as the inclusion or discrimination. When I say the halftime act should be Canadian, now it's just for fun to see people go nuts. It's another hill that I died on. My carcass is still on that hill. I'm not winning that halftime should be a Grey Cup, should be a Canadian act. But Jonas Brothers were good. People, you saw, I would assume, the post where I said the Grey Cup act should always be Canadian. People are like, the Jonas Brothers were great. Didn't say they weren't. Just so you know, not crapping on the Jonas Brothers. What I'm saying is it's the Canadian Football League. So it should be a Canadian act at halftime. Yeah, well, we want to be world class. Canadian acts can still be world class. You're not listening. You're hearing me, but you're not listening to me. You get it, Darren, right?
Sure, absolutely. There's enough good Canadian acts. There's plenty of them that are among the greatest in the world and in the history of the world. But I'm not on that hill. I'm okay with it being an American or whoever wants to perform because that's, to me, that's what Canadians listen to. We listen to music from all over. And so I'm okay with that being a mix, but I understand it. And you could have a Canadian every single year and not know the difference because that's how great Canadian acts are. They're world class.
It's in my commentary today, running on Sask Radio. You can read it at rodpeterson.com. I've worked in Canadian radio since 1988, friends with all kinds of the acts. I know that it would help them a lot to be on the stage of the Grey Cup to help their careers and give a bump for Canadian music. So I don't know how anybody could come at me or be mad that that's my stance. I respect yours. Please just respect mine. And like I say, I've been with a lot of Canadian talent that have thanked me for that stance. Clearly we're not winning, but I'm not changing my mind now. From the Alaterra Skincare text line, Wilf in Steinbach says, hi, Rod and Moose. Mike Tyson, Netflix, Jake Paul, really bad all around. Great Cup, good production. Halftime was mediocre. Jim in Balgoni says, wow, you know you're addicted to the RP show when, while watching the Grey Cup, I had Rick Regan's, oh, no.
Oh,
And John
no.
Lynch's very Winnipegish in my mind as the Bombers imploded. Oh, what would Lynch be saying? Thanks again for covering the Grey Cup. Bill, now here's the question we all want to know. Bill Edwards writes in, he says, is the Moose going down to Maple Leaf Square tomorrow to do a live feed?
Ooh. Do we know what time the parade is? Is it during the show?
11 to 1 Eastern. Right in our wheelhouse. Guess I know what you're doing.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Let me get back to you.
I'll let you think about it. Sure. Kirk in Toronto writes that he says, hi, Rod. 19th Grey Cup title. The Argos pulled together when most of the chatter was against them. And how about MVP Nick Arbuckle? How sweet was that? Way to go, Boltman. In less than a minute, you have a take on the trophy that Nick Arbuckle was awarded as the MVP of the Canadian Football League Championship.
Poor Nick Arbuckle. You know, he had to go through so much, didn't have a job, was the backup, finally got a chance to play, gets into the Grey Cup, all this pressure, double-digit underdogs. They win, he's the MVP, and the trophy he gets, like, what? That's it? When I saw the photo of him and his daughter, because I didn't see the presentation, I saw it after, and I'm like, I thought he was looking at a souvenir she was given by somebody else, The MVP trophy I won at the Lanigan Pee Wee Hockey Tournament was bigger than that back in, 1998 or 99. Yeah, I feel bad for him. I know they're trying to do new things and make it different, and I didn't see the front of it, but give me back the old ones. The old ones were cool. This one was just kind of lame.
We'll continue the viewer takeover in hour 2, or at least 2 segments from now, because Mo Egger joins us next from Cincinnati. Thanks, Moose. Smoke him if you got him.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with Mo Egger from ESPN Cincinnati here on Game Plus, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, and we out.
Skate into the holiday season with the Stars. Stars on Ice 2024 Holiday Tour. With figure skating icon Elvis Stoico, Olympic medalist Caitlin Osmond, Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poche, Keegan Messing, Satoko Miyahara, and more. Stars on Ice. Coming to Moose Jaw Event Center December 20th. Unwrap your tickets at starsonice.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Brand new week. Heading stateside for a second. J.K. Dobbins rushed for a 29-yard touchdown with 18 seconds to go. And the Los Angeles Chargers beat the Cincinnati Bengals 34-27 after squandering a 21-point third quarter lead. Bengals now 4-7. And if my math's right, 3 wins out of a wild card spot. Mo Wager covers the Bengals like nobody else for ESPN Cincinnati Radio. And he joins us today. Hi, bud. What's going on, old Mo?
Are you having me on to talk about the Grey Cup?
Did you watch it?
I followed it because of Zach Caleros, former Bearcat star. It didn't go well for my guy, Zach.
No, he got hurt. That's right. Huge Cincinnati veteran, Steubenville, Ohio product. Okay, would you rather talk about that than the Bengals? What were you thinking when the Bengals gave that one away at the end?
Most frustrating Bengals season of my lifetime, and I've been through a lot of them, Rod. Kind of the season in a nutshell. Kind of the season in a nutshell, so to speak. They fall behind because their defense is not very good. They put Joe Burrow in harm's way too often. The offensive line was not very good, and yet Joe's greatness and Jamar Chase's greatness and T. Higgins' greatness allow the Bengals to come back and almost win. And that's kind of been the theme of the season. They've lost all these close games. They have gotten some of Joe Burrow's best performances in games this season that they haven't won. And that is deeply frustrating. I think you would agree that there are a few things in sports as just deeply frustrating as wasting greatness. And the Bengals are doing that. They're doing it with Joe Burrow. They're doing it with Jamar Chase. Last night they did it with T. Higgins. They're just not good enough on the margins. They're just not good enough defensively. Right now they're just not good enough on special teams. And as much credit as you might give them for coming back in the second half of the football game, you can't fall behind 18 points on the road against a good team in a game that you have to win. And so they cooked themselves early, put themselves in a position where they had to mount this monumental comeback. And then, as has often been the case this season, in the waning moments of the game, when it's time to win, the Bengals figure out a way to lose.
Yeah, that was a mouthful. It's like you rehearsed it, man. 3 years removed, though, from being in the Super Bowl, Mo. I mean, here's the thing. Last year with Burrow's injury, you kind of could forgive it. This year, I don't follow the Bengals enough to say why this is happening. Is this a coaching thing? I don't think it's a talent thing. It's a bad luck thing. What have you reasoned it as?
I think it's a lot of those things. I emphasize more than anything that I just don't think the roster is very good. The team they had in 2021, you and I were at the Super Bowl in LA together. That's a good roster. And they'd had a deficiency on the offensive line, but it had a defense that the Bengals back then threw a lot of money at. They overpaid some guys, and they went and addressed the defense in free agency, and then they locked into Joe Burrow in the draft and took Jamar Chase, and it worked. Well, what has happened since? Joe has become more expensive. He's worth it. Offensively, they still have, some high-end dudes. Defensively, what has happened? in the draft, they have whiffed repeatedly. And there were a number of the suspects of that defense that were on display yesterday. Cam Taylor-Britt got benched. Well, they drafted him and decided to move on from Chidobe Awuzie this offseason because they thought he was going to be the team's best corner. Well, last night in a game they had to have, he got benched. They let Jesse Bates walk in free agency. He might be the best safety in football right now. They have not adequately replaced him. Despite trying with a first-round pick, Dax Hill, he hasn't worked out. A lot of the draft picks they have used on defense haven't panned out. They've also whiffed in free agency. So in 2021, I don't want to say I could have fixed the defense, but it's easy when you're just going to throw money at a problem. When you've got to be a little bit more strategic and you can't just blindly throw money at a problem, boy, it tests a front office's acumen. It tests their ability to scout. It tests the coaching staff's ability to develop, and the Bengals have failed those tests. So I start there. Zach Taylor gets some blame anecdotally. I thought, for instance, for those who are watching last night, I don't know why you don't call a timeout when Jamar Chase is on the sideline to give him a blow when your team is trying to win the football game late. I think many would say that Zach Taylor doesn't give this team a decided advantage anywhere. I think Jim Harbaugh does. I think Mike Tomlin does. I think John Harbaugh does. I think Andy Reid does. I think it's fair to wonder 6 years into this, what real specific advantage does Zach Taylor give the Bengals? And yeah, they have been kind of unlucky this season, but I'm a big believer of the fact that you create your own luck. And so you put yourself at the mercy of luck when you fall behind by a bunch of points early in the football game. You put yourself at the mercy of luck against the Baltimore Ravens when you can't stop anybody on defense. So, yeah, luck has been a factor, but they've been in a position where bad luck can kill them, and that's something that I don't find excusable.
Lastly, the Bengals live in the toughest division, I think we would agree, in the NFL. I live in Miami. The Dolphins are in maybe the weakest division this year in the NFL. And on radio here today, they're all going, if we can just get Jaden Waddle going, if we can just get Tyreek going, if we can just play call to save Tua's melon, we got a chance. Which they do. Mm-hmm. What's the vibe in Cincy with your team in the playoff?
Season over. And that might sound premature. The schedule does ease up a little bit after they play the Steelers a week from Sunday. But the math is getting really hard. I mean, look at the AFC North. Pittsburgh's 8-2. Bengals play them twice. Even if they were to beat them head-to-head, are they going to make up 5 games in the loss column? Probably not. They've lost 2 head-to-head games against the Baltimore Ravens, so they can't catch them. Denver wins yesterday, so Cincinnati has a 2-game deficit to make up. You got to get to at least 9 wins. For this team to do that, they can only lose one more time. And as much as you might look at the Bengals, and I think fairly so, and go, God, you know what? They're a tough out because of Burrow and because of what they do offensively. Over the course of the next 6 games, do you trust them defensively? And do you trust them to do the little things enough to bank on them winning 5 of them? The team that I have watched hasn't earned that trust. And so I think the vibe here is one of deep frustration, wondering what changes might be in the offing this offseason, if any, and the lament that comes with wasting greatness, and the Bengals have done that this year.
Well, as a Cowboys fan, insert that with under the star. It's the same thing.
Our team's play in a couple of weeks on Monday Night Football. Boy, that'll be fun. That'll be fun for everybody. Bengals Cowboys in prime time. Oh boy, I know here in the United States, the entire country is going to be on pins and needles for that one.
We'll put a lunch on it. Radio talk. Did you get a new microphone?
I'm sorry, you broke up on me. What'd you say, Rod?
I'm sorry. Radio talk. Did you get a new microphone?
No, no. Usually I do these from my house, and the microphone is gray. And today I'm in the studio because I had to get here early for something, and so I'm in the studio. I do the show, and so no, this is just. It's cool looking though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's like you pulled out a spray bomb. That's pretty cool. Yeah, we notice these things in the business. All right, Mo. Good to see you, man. Cheer up, all right?
RE20.
Cheer
I'll
up.
do my best. You know what? Seeing your face made me happy today. Usually you've got like an ocean behind you and there's boats going by. The last time I was on with you, you were at the gym. I wasn't sure what's going on there. You had this gaudy shirt. Any more of that Grey Cup gear you got on there? Any of that in XL?
This is XL. Yeah, when I'm done with it, I'll give it to you. Maybe it's Super Bowl.
Thanks.
All right.
Hand me downs. Great.
Thanks.
All right, Rod. See you, man.
Thanks, Mo. the great Mo Egger. The Bengals are back to being who we thought they were. We'll be right back with a sports update and viewer takeover after this on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, as always, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Mo.
The moustache is calling. Raise funds, save lives. Donate at Movember.com.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
All right. People have come out of the weekend with a lot of energy, and I love it. Back home for the winter. How about that? No plans to head out for a while, and that excites me. 902-518-3033 is the number to reach us here in the studio. Hello, did the lights go out? Text lines brought to you by Elaterra Skincare. As sports fans, there's nothing we love more than a comeback in the game against wrinkles, scars, and acne. It's never too late to revitalize your skin with Elaterra Naturals. Elaterra.com. Use promo code RP20 for 20% off your first order. Regarding our interview with Mo Egger, Darcy in Grand Prairie writes that he says the Bengals have an 80s Dolphins feel to them. Two very depressed fan bases. There's no doubt about that. By the way, coming up in hour 2, NHL breakaway bets. We'll get back more on to what we normally do next hour with our NHL breakaway bets feature, which people tell me they really love. Moose and I make our NHL pick. I got one of the greatest gifts I've received in a very long time at Grey Cup. Some of you might have seen the presentation of it on air. I'll open that gift on the air next hour. From the audience, Rich in Edmonton says, Ed Hervey for Elks GM? Very possible, but it sounds like on Wednesday the BC Lions are going to announce a major shakeup. Rick Campbell out as head coach and co-GM, and the word is he's going to Edmonton. Whether Ed Hervey joins him there or not, I guess remains to be seen. Kevin the Medium writes in regarding the rally in Toronto tomorrow. He says, should be no thinking about it. Just be at the parade, Moose. It's up to Darren. I won't speak for him. The invitation is out there. And what are we talking about? Here's the sports update. To celebrate the Toronto Argonauts franchise's 19th Grey Cup victory on Sunday, the team will host a public rally for fans from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Tuesday in Maple Leaf Square. Fans attending the championship rally presented by BMO will get to witness remarks and speeches from organization leaders, special programming, giveaways, a live DJ, and the 2024 Grey Cup champion team hoisting the trophy. How about that?
How about that?
Meanwhile, the Toronto Raptors welcome the Indiana Pacers to Scotiabank Arena tonight. The Raps enter the game on a 7-game losing streak. And with the NBA's worst record at 2-12, I think we can officially call them the Craptors now. How about those Cleveland Cavaliers, though? 15-0. Move over Winnipeg Jets. 15-0, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, having a Cavalier attitude is a good thing. Week 11 of the NFL season wraps up in Dallas tonight with the Cowboys hosting Houston. But a challenging season for the Big D. The 3-6 Cowboys enter on a 4-game losing streak and are 0-4 at home. I'm laughing because that's my team, and the only other option is crying. The Texans lead the AFC South at 6-4, but have dropped 2 straight. It's a Battle of Texas tonight on Monday Night Football. Sports updates brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, here from the reunited director, writer, and stars of Forrest Gump. Here is an original film about multiple families in a special place they inhabit. Tom Hanks and Robin Wright star in a tale of love, loss, laughter, and life, all of which happened right here. I feel like we've done a pretty good job of recapping a very busy but fun weekend. Would you not agree? The Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight, we can get into more of that. How about when Mike Tyson's ass was hanging out? When he turned, we're like,
spicy.
Were you watching that, Clark? Did you see that? Were you? Make it stop. We talked about the NHL, Ryan Reeves, 5-game suspension, NFL leftovers, Grey Cup leftovers. We'll continue it all next hour. Jersey Jim Barron will be with us, too, to talk about the quarterbacking change with the Giants and a lot more of your comments. So hang around, everybody, after this brief pause here on Game Plus and Key Radio.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Have you ever seen a coach, whether it be on a football life or any sports that you've played, come into the room after a win and said, guys or gals, great win, but we didn't win by enough, so go run the stairs? Said no coach ever. Shut up with that.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That's especially true come championship game time. And hi, everybody. Take your places, but get comfortable. It's hour 2 of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, but also airing in 32 U.S. states here on Game Plus Television, also on the radio in Atlanta, WQEE. Please bring the moose in. That's the one thing, Darren, and we haven't got to college football yet. Now with the CFL behind us, the Grey Cup wrapped up Sunday night, we're going to be spending a lot more time focusing on college football. But when it gets to championship time in any sport, but especially football, this business that we didn't beat them by enough, it doesn't matter. It was a rout yesterday in the 111th Grey Cup, 41-24 Toronto over Winnipeg. And I'll recap that for those that weren't watching an hour ago. Darren, was a very entertaining game for a blowout like that, the biggest blowout in almost 30 years in the Canadian Football League. Doesn't matter. I will say this, though. As the Bombers were imploding in the fourth quarter, I thought to myself, boy, did the odds makers blow this. Winnipeg favored by 10 and lost by 17. Hey, that's why we watch it.
Well, it's exactly why we watch. We watch because it is unpredictable. The one disclaimer, I'll back the odds makers up. They're never trying to predict the score with these spreads. All they're trying to do is get the betting money to be even. So you make the spread enough to hopefully they got some money in on the Argos. And if money came in on the Argos at 10.5, I think that was the first spread that you read on this show early in the week was 10.5. If you got in at 10.5, and if you were so bold as to bet on Nick Arbuckle winning the MVP of the Grey Cup, then you're counting your money and feeling pretty good on this Monday.
Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, hi, Rod. Willem, my son, and I will be at Maple Leaf Square for Grey Cup celebration. Hope to meet Moose if he's there. And you were right, Rod. Never bet against pinball. You saw the photo of Pinner and I at the Athletes in Action breakfast. I will tell you this, Darren. I was standing beside a couple of Argonauts' parents who had just finished explaining to me that they thought that I was in Toronto with this show. So we're explaining that pinball comes by, yes, 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 the way how he does. And I'm like, pinball, would you please make my life and take a photo with me? And he stopped at me and he looked, he's like, Rod, only Jesus can do that. But yes, I will take a photo with you. And we took that pic. You just don't bet against pinball, which I learned it last year. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Don't bet against pinball. And but by the way, I don't bet at all. It's interesting what you just said there, that the point spread is not a prediction of the outcome of the game. Okay. I mean, I don't get into it. I don't bet. Never really have. It's not my thing. Interesting that you say that. Brady writes in from Saskatoon. He says, all jokes aside, probably one of the best Grey Cups in recent memory. From the halftime show to the second half, it was a pretty entertaining game. I can't wait for the figures to come in, the numbers in terms of how many watched it. And I can't get mad. A lot of CFL people get mad, and I used to be one of them that would get mad. It's like 9 million watched on TSN. Why don't you watch every weekend? All year. It's great. It's a fantastic league. I only get into college football real heavily till in bowl season. I only get into Major League Baseball if the Blue Jays are winning. And then if they're not, come playoff time to watch the Yankees, Dodgers, and whoever's making a run. Like, I get it. I get it. But the fact is we are into the CFL all season for 6 months. I'm not going to be into it for 12 months, but I'm into it for 6. But have you seen any figures, Moose, for ratings? Because I think it's going to be Mondo. First time it's been on CTV in a very long time.
Yeah, none yet. And I know that didn't translate early on in the regular season games on CTV, but I think the ratings will be really good. The Grey Cup is going up. The ratings are up. It is a special time of the year. And you know what? You're right. Like it's not. We're not going to change. We're not going to get the casual viewers that show up for Grey Cup to watch all year round, but we want them to still show up for Grey Cup. And again, those open doors we talked about. Open the doors to the fans that only show up. Not you, but for everybody else. We are. Open the doors to the fans that only want to come in once a year, that only want to go to Labor Day, that only want to go to the Grey Cup, because they help too. And we need it to be a big deal.
Yeah. One thing I really loved at Grey Cup was seeing how many kids were involved. Kids. I'll say one thing about here in South Florida. When I go to Panthers practices, you see all races, all denominations, all ages, where it used to be not all that. When they say hockey's for everyone, it really is. Maybe that should be the next CFL slogan. The CFL's for everyone. Because we saw that at this Grey Cup. Maybe that was the population demographic of Vancouver. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But it just seemed like, I'm like, every race is represented, every gender, every age, everything. That's what we want, I believe. The Puck and Pigskin podcast writes in, says, the entertainment at AT&T Stadium tonight can't be any worse than Friday night. Oh, my God, what a time to be a Texan. Cowboys, Texans tonight shouldn't be a great game. Who is it? Oh, Darren writes that he says, I could have went my whole life without seeing Mike Tyson's ass. That was something. Were you watching that? Were you watching when that happened?
It was it was set up to be such a wonderful moment, such a sentimental moment. I think it was Mike Tyson's kid that was doing the interview. So he has the interview, and then he gives his kid a kiss on the cheek because it's this wholesome moment. And then he waddles away, and there's his two cheeks hanging out of the jockstrap. And it just changed the whole moment. You know, I think that's the most memed thing I've seen in a long, long, long time, man. The cottage cheese, Mike Tyson.
It was disturbing.
Yes.
Scott in Toronto writes in, he says, the only player position the Argos on paper were much weaker at than Winnipeg was quarterback. The odds makers must have thought Arbuckle was going to be a turnover machine. And well, he wasn't, and Zach was throwing those bad interceptions in the fourth quarter. It had to have been related to his cut finger. It had to have been. He just wasn't himself. I kind of wondered why Chris Strevler wasn't put into the game, but who the hell am I? I saw him with Darren Cameron, their PR guy, strolling from the restaurant Cardero's the other night. Friday night, I went out for supper with Kevin, or was it Thursday? I can't remember. I will say this. I sat there as a sober person, almost 10 years wandering around Grey Cup in Vancouver going, how the hell did I do this drinking? I'm exhausted. Can't remember what day it is. It's a Grey Cup thing. Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says the difference with football, it's weekly. That's tolerable. Baseball is 132 games. Actually, it's 162 games. Because following that nightly is almost punishment. It's a job to follow the Blue Jays to that degree, but I know guys that do watch every single game. I do. Oh, well, Matt Hyman says Strevler is injured still.
Yeah, he wasn't on the active roster last night.
Okay, I was going to say, why was he warming up? Because I know
I saw him warming up too, throwing footballs, but I think that was he's just being out there.
Okay, thanks. Reg Dunlop writes in and says the streaker at the Grey Cup had some nice pom-poms.
How about that? Hoorah!
I saw that. I'm like, is this Walking Bets? Shy in Regina writes in, he says, oh, come on, a cut finger. What a lame excuse for Caleros. He only completed 6 passes. Again? You try throwing a football with your finger sliced wide open like Zach did. And by the way, you know I don't like Bo. Just so you know, I was fanboy for a lot of the weekend. And on Saturday, I went by the stage where TSN was doing their all-day thing on the Saturday. And Bo was there. It was exactly, Darren, like that golf tournament we were at in Calgary, and you were there. Remember where Bo and I looked at each other and then looked away like we pretended we didn't see each other? And just sort of...
Right on.
That happened again, you know. I wonder if one day we'll ever be friends.
I felt it in the photo. When I looked at the photo, it like transported me back to being in that room. I took on the anxiety of both of you in the moment. So interesting. And on the finger, if I can, with Zach, you're right. The finger played a role into it, but so did the game. Like when you're in the fourth quarter and you're down like that, now it's like, we got to get points in a hurry. So you throw it up. Normally in a one-score game, he wouldn't have done that. So those interceptions are a tad inflated based on the game situation and his hand.
Yeah. What else did I do? What else did I see? What else was fun? It's 1:11 Eastern. Got your hand on that clock?
Beautiful.
I guess while we're here, we'll wrap up the weekend and then look forward. Were you watching on Friday when Reed Johnson from the Markcast made this presentation on the air?
I missed this. What?
He was holding on to this for 3 years. Yeah. And he brought it from Seattle. Thank God it was a short. Look at you. How do you think I feel?
Wow.
Yeah, presented. He's like,
I know how
wanted to
big
give
of a
this
deal
to
this
you in
would be for
person.
you, though.
Yeah, this is the kind of guy that he is. This is my favorite NHL player, not historically, but at the moment. Jordan Eberle. He is my favorite Regina Pat of all time. And Reed presented this to me on the air on Friday. How about that? Can we get a how about that from Rick Regan?
How about that?
Jordan Eberle.
I like it.
I'm not totally sure why he's wearing a ball cap.
I was going to say,
Haven't
first
seen that,
hockey
but-
bobblehead with a ball cap I've seen.
Actually, it looks a lot like him, to be perfectly honest with you. And here's one for you for the hockey. Yeah, Clark. Were you worth the Pats, Clark, when this happened? Or maybe Clark's making a joke about Ebb's teeth. To be honest, this actually looks like him. Whoever did this, nice job, Seattle Kraken. But we got a bobblehead with Eberle with the Pats, and it was a good one. Not those cheap ones you see now where there's like, pick a bobblehead that looks kind of like, no, this one looked like Eberle, and it was a good one. But it didn't have a gap tooth of him back in the day. And I'll never forget, our captain was Garrett Mitchell. When the bobbleheads came in, like the shipment comes in boxes, they opened one. He grabbed a black Sharpie and went, color, put it in the gap tooth. We're like, come on. Oh, yeah. You don't get away with anything with a junior hockey team, man.
That's right.
Allie in Texarkana says, very cool, Rod. The Kraken uniforms are so solid. Aaron has a tracksuit of the Seattle Kraken. It's not actually Kraken, but it's the same colors, right? You could have worn it if you'd known I was going to do this today.
If I knew, I would have worn it, but that's okay. Another time.
John Ohm writes in, he says, Bo and Rod, like oil and water, LOL, they don't mix. Kevin the Medium's watching, and he says, I tried to get Rod to chat with Bo. Not happening. What an amazing week it was. Hey, what do they say? Again, it's a recovery term. You know this, Kevin. Meet people where they're at. We talked about this. Bo and I aren't on the same level vibrationally, spiritually, or in any level. And I don't know if at some point if we ever will be. I don't spend much time thinking about it, but I darn sure know I'm not going to force it. How about that? Sorry, Darren. I'm just looking at all the comments. There's a lot of them coming in here today. If you're the Calgary Stampeders and you're looking for a quarterback, can I say this right now for next year? Would you not look at Nick Arbuckle? I don't think they were, but I'd like to think that they are now.
Well, I think you have to look. I mean, you're looking at all the available options at quarterback. I mean, and teams have to make decisions. The Riders are going to have to make a decision. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Vernon Adams. In Edmonton, there's going to be decisions to be made. But I don't know if I'm Nick Arbuckle, even if you're going back to Toronto to be a number 2, I don't know that I'm so quick to leave Toronto. It turned into being a pretty good situation, being there, and you get the opportunity to play, and they've got to make a decision too. But, one game, and it's a Grey Cup and it's an MOP, isn't necessarily a predictor that he's going to be a great starter next year or have a spot or all the rest. But, it's a league where there's always movement. And in this league, more than any other, I feel like it's not such a bad thing to be a number 2 in the CFL.
Shai writes in and he says, Rod called Arbuckle fat. No, I didn't. I called him fatty because there was a famous silent film star from the 1920s called Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Look it up, Shai. Didn't call him fat. For those that came here for hockey talk, we're going to get to that in the next segment. I just want to say this. Corey Mace, the head coach of the Riders, he gets a lot of points from the fans for pushing the kid's stroller around all over the place. Regina, he did it at Grey Cup. He was covered in Rider stuff head to toe. He's hard to miss. But I guess somewhere along the line, Darren, he said that he wished that he didn't go as much with the analytics and more so trusted his gut this season, in his rookie season as a head coach. And I thought that can certainly be forgiven. I've talked to Chris Jones at length about analytics and how some guys, it's their Bible. They use it to coach the team. If you're going to coach a team based on what this numbers say, what do we need you for? You know what I mean? But, I mean, Corey Mace was a rookie, so you had to understand he was going to make some rookie mistakes. You need to allow him to learn and grow, but that's why I'm not an analytics fan. Football gods, hockey gods, and if there's such a thing as baseball gods, I assume they are, I'll go with them over the analytics and the numbers. DeBuck and I were talking. Matt DeBuck, the guy that gave me this helmet here, Cardinal Gibbons High School, he says, stats are for losers. He picked a Bomber win. He didn't care what the numbers said. He didn't care what the odds maker said. He went with Toronto. And Chad Kelly didn't play, didn't even make the trip because you can't fly with a broken ankle. Said no one ever. But, they didn't want him there as a distraction, right? So they won without Chad Kelly. So now they have their own decisions to make in Toronto. Do they even want Chad Kelly back? What do we need him for? This guy led us to a Grey Cup against a pretty good defense, right? So the football gods decided this, not the analytics. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. We'll be right back on Hour 2 of the RP Show here on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube as always, and of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, everybody, we're back on a Monday, Givener. And indeed, I am back in beautiful South Florida, back home. It's magic. How I did it. From Grey Cup Week in Vancouver. Hour 2 is brought to you by Culligan. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina. CulliganRegina.com. Regina, let's bring Moose in. Regina Rams falling in the Mitchell Bowl 17-14 to Laval on Saturday. Great crowd showed up at Mosaic Stadium. For all those bitching that it wasn't on TSN and Sportsnet, we applaud CBC for doing the game. And the Vanier Cup, did you think about that? And Moose, before I delve into the comments, some are directed at you. Breaking news on this Monday. Edmonton Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch says he expects Darnell Nurse to be out 5 to 10 days after a hit to the head from Toronto forward Ryan Reeves. He was skating with the puck on Saturday night behind Edmonton's net early in the second period of Saturday's 4-3 overtime loss to the Leafs when Reeves clipped Nurse with his shoulder. The NHL's Department of Player Safety suspended Reeves 5 games for his actions, sparking some debate over whether the penalty was harsh enough. He'll be out 5 to 10 days. That's what you all need to know. That's the breaking news. We'll get to more NHL news in a second. Ray writes in, he's watching Moose in Scarborough, Ontario. Says, hey, Rod, hope you enjoyed your great Grey Cup week. And I also hope Darren enjoyed Kitchener. It's near and dear to my heart. Go Ranger. Tell us about your time in Kitchener on the weekend.
It was great, like really awesome. And, you know, the Odd, they call it, the arena, the auditorium, it was great. Another older, historic building. And the Kitchener Rangers are really good, too. And it was good to meet some new people, work with new people. And the Rangers are interesting because, you know, not to get down this road too much, but the NCAA rule that's going to allow players from the CHL to go play in the NCAA has really shifted this landscape. And we're seeing it. You know, a lot of players are now leaving the BCHL, where players had gone, and Junior A to come play in the Canadian Hockey League. One of them is Jack Pridham. Left the BCHL, comes to Kitchener. He's a third-round pick of the Blackhawks. And you always wonder how they're going to adjust. Well, it was his first game. He looked outstanding. Comfortable, calm, skill, poise. We're seeing all these players flood into the CHL. He's committed to Boston. Then he's going to play at the Blackhawks. So a high-end player comes to the Kitchener Rangers, looked really, really good. And another young player we're going to see in the prospects game coming up, Cameron Reed, defenseman. He looks fun to watch too, which is great, offensive and all the rest. And then another shout out to our fans. If you remember, Stanislav Svozil, the Regina Pats defenseman, now playing, I think, in Cleveland. His brother David plays with the Oshawa Generals, scored his first OHL goal on the weekends. So it's fun watching him play, and then all these junior hockey ties across the country is cool.
There you go. Ray in Scarborough. Hopes you enjoyed it, and clearly you did. I spent a little time on the weekend thinking about this. I honestly wouldn't have even known the Chicago Blackhawks were in town on Saturday in Vancouver, if not for two things. One, I had an NHL scout saying, you better go to this game. I didn't even know it was on before I got to Vancouver. But then the other thing was, in all the media, it was a really big deal for obvious reasons. Connor Bedard coming home for the first time to play in his hometown against the Canucks. That was a whole hell of a story, and we could have spent a lot of time on that today. Obviously, I love Connor Bedard. Started interviewing him when he was 14. God, I feel dirty doing that, but we did. Remember that? He intimidated me. His eyes are piercing when he was 14. And he did all these interviews in Vancouver. How did I get on this? Oh, hang on. I guess the point is I was really junior hockey was my whole life for a really long time. And I love Bedard's comment that he would take it so hard when the Canucks lost that his mom wouldn't let him watch the games for a while. She had to suspend him from watching the game when he was little. In North Vancouver, I think, is where he grew up. And I'm like, so was he happy that the Canucks won Saturday? And beat his Chicago Blackhawks 4-1 because it wasn't much of a game. Well, it was close. It was they had 2 empty net goals, but Vancouver really handled them. But just this, what you just said, Darren, about the NCAA now allowing all Canadian junior hockey players eligibility into college before it was separated into 2. And if they don't know the Tier 1, Tier 2 designations, then what the hell are we even talking about it for? I'm just sitting here going, do you not know, or do you just not care how massive this is? But what I know is the majority of people don't care. It's one of the two. They either don't know or they don't care. But what I know is they're not talking about it, other than the hockey people themselves, as you just said. So let's play breakaway bets and get back on point, because I said we were going to get back a little more to what makes us us.
Let's do it.
6 games tonight. Moose and I do the breakaway bets where we pick the winners. That's it. It's sport betting. We don't put any money on it. Lunch, maybe. Columbus at Boston tonight.
Ooh.
Can I just pause before you go any further? I haven't even really looked at what's been going on lately. What did I tell you? I was solely focused on the Grey Cup and doing a job there and doing a great job. I haven't really looked at what's gone on since Wednesday in the NHL. So Columbus at Boston. Does home ice mean anything anymore? I'm kind of wondering whether it does or not. I'll take Boston. You?
I'm taking Boston, too. I think they win tonight.
Okay. Well, hey, the big game of the night, if you will, is on Amazon Prime. The Edmonton Oilers at the Montreal Canadiens. I heard Victor Finley, the voice of the Canadiens, on NHL radio this morning saying the fans are getting upset at watching the Canadiens get pounded at home. I think it's going to happen again tonight. I'm taking the Oilers. How about you?
Yeah, me too. I'll take Edmonton. They'll win tonight on Amazon.
Colorado Avalanche at Philadelphia Flyers. I'll go with the Avs.
Okay, I'll take the Flyers tonight.
That was easy. The historic hockey rivalry. Anaheim Ducks at the Dallas Stars. I'll give me the Dallas Stars. Who do you think wins tonight?
This is very interesting. I'm taking Dallas, too.
Yeah, no? Okay. I'm excited to get more on the NHL train and a lot on the college football train. Believe me. Washington at Utah tonight. Ovi's got the hot stick. Hattie last night in Vegas. But I'll take Utah.
Oh, you're taking Utah. You? Okay. I'm going to take Washington.
Yeah. You're taking...
I'll take Ovi to stay hot.
You're a Caps backer, huh?
Yeah.
Detroit Red Wings at the San Jose Sharks.
I like San Jose in this one tonight.
Okay, I'll take Detroit. They got to get going. But I'll tell you what, this is kind of a schedule for a Monday night, other than Oilers Habs. I remember when the bubble season happened, and it was all, Canadian teams. We had the divisions wrong. We had the one Canadian division. God, I wish we... Forever. I remember Eric Duhatchik from the Athletic writing that we can't have a Canadian division where just the Canadian teams play each other every night. And I'm like, why not? You can't have birthday cake every day. Why not? But I've never understood the term moderation. I don't even know what that is. I'm a all or nothing kind of guy. So let's dive in head first, all Canadian affair. God, that would be great. That's the game tonight. Oilers at Habs. The rest? Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, hi, Rod. Prince Harry was at the Grey Cup. How about that? Yeah, I know. I was watching. He's still with Meghan, right? How about, can we get the girl from Suits? Where was she? That's who I would rather see. But it was cool that Prince Harry was there, no doubt. Amar Dolman pulled out all the steps. Anybody that's just tuned in, go back and watch way back at the start of this show. Amar Dolman, Larry Tannenbaum, think of them as Doc and Michael J. Fox and Back to the Future. And I'm serious, right?
Yeah.
Amar Dolman, I feel like Larry Tannenbaum plays the role of Doc, where we're going, there are no roads. Can you make the meme and put their faces on the head, on the bodies of Doc and Michael J. Fox? Can you do that?
Where we're going, there are no roads. Yeah, I can do that. Consider it done.
Do you believe with me? Do you agree with me that these guys are taking the CFL places it's never been? They're not being pulled down by the old way of CFL thinking. They're pulling everybody up.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what we're seeing, and we're seeing it more we're seeing it from Amar Dolman. I don't know about Larry Tannenbaum, but I know if he jumped in and invested in his time and became really passionate about the Argos, and maybe he is, that's only going to be a good thing. And so I like the tag team, two sides of the country. Yeah, let's go.
Hank in Regina writes in, he says, I enjoyed our grandson playing for Waterloo for 4 years. Signed, Hank the Hammer in Regina. Oh, yeah, Moose is Mr. Ontario now. It's going really well. They were asking for him at the Grey Cup, too. Don't think it was just me. They were asking for Moose, particularly the media. John in Edmonton says, Beyonce is performing the halftime show at the Houston Texans NFL game on Netflix on Christmas Day. Thoughts? I personally don't care. And John in Edmonton, I'm just worried about today, but that's just me. Tony in Cochrane says, I'll take the Raptors over the Pacers tonight. You can have them. Any last thoughts, Moose, before we bring in Jersey Jim?
No, this is great. Glad you made it home safely, and keep cranking that air conditioning so you can wear the hoodie and not sweat.
Oh, you like it? Yeah, down
That's
here
great.
in, where's my phone? Listen, somebody asked me if I switched my phone to Fahrenheit, and I probably never will. It's 27 degrees and cloudy Celsius in Boca Raton, Florida right now. With the wind, there's a wind chill. It feels like 25 above Celsius.
I'm going to say, you can unzip it a bit. You look like you are legitimately cold.
That's the whole idea. What I tell you, I was sitting at that table.
There you go.
One Argo's dad's like, I thought you lived in Toronto. The guy from Winnipeg goes, I thought you were in Saskatchewan. And the one Bombers coach's dad, who's from a place between Orlando and Tampa on the highway, is like, I knew you in Florida. I watch you. So I got my Panthers gear on underneath, but for today I had to wear Grey Cup stuff. Now you started something. I'm not going down the Beyonce road. Not today. Have a good one, Moose.
See ya.
Jersey Jim is in next. Might talk a little Tommy Cutlets, but for sure a lot of NHL. We'll be right back. We're live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube, and, of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues back home. I'm going to explain how and why in a second. Just want to tell you, hey, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. Not a lot of NFL today, but the poll question for EMJ Marketing is, should the NFL institute a draft lottery? We'll get into that in a second as we bring in Jersey Jim. And Jim, I texted you and I apologize. I was flying all night. I didn't see your texts till now with those wonderful memes that you made and sent. I apologize, my guy. I just saw them. I hope you didn't think I was not responding to you.
No, all good, Rod. Thanks to be here. Always a pleasure. No, I just was having fun last night. Saw some great photos out there, and I wanted to send them along to my guy and your show and, of course, the podcast out there. No, never. I knew you were fine. I saw your story, so we're all good here.
Okay, I apologize I didn't get back to you. So we'll explain why next segment when you're gone. But the reason I bring this up is, should the NFL have a draft lottery, is because the New York Giants, that play in your backyard there, have made a quarterback change. Tommy Cutlett's coming back in. Tommy DeVito going to start in place of Daniel Jones. And from what I understand, this is a money thing, a bonus thing. But people are also saying the Giants are clearly tanking it because they want the number one pick of the draft, or at least as high of a pick as they can get. What's your read on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue that, right? I mean, when you have a $5 million quarterback that you guaranteed to pay as your backup in Drew Lock, who's on the bench, he was supposed to be your backup to Daniel Jones, and you're not even playing him. You're going straight to your third-string quarterback in Tommy DeVito. That tells me one thing, that you're tanking. You want one of these quarterbacks that are coming out of college right now. The problem is, it's just not a quarterback problem for the New York Giants. It's an offensive line problem. It's a GM problem. I don't know so much about the coach, but organizational disaster, giving a contract to Daniel Jones. And again, it is a money thing, right? If he gets hurt, they're on the hook next year for his final year of his contract. And I don't think they want to do that. I think it's time to move on. It's time to reset. So you have two quarterbacks on the bench being paid close to $56 million. Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. So it is tank time in New York.
I'm reading Doug McLean's book right now called Draft Day. It's really good. It talks about when the NBA brought in their lottery for the draft, when the NHL brought in its lottery. It's been around longer than you think, but the NFL's fought it. They have never had a draft lottery, and I'm sure there's a good reason why. I don't know what that is, but do you think one day they'll go to it? Because now with betting such a big thing, Jim, really hard to bet on games, I would think, late in the year when you got teams tanking, especially when you have two teams tanking. They don't want to win.
No, exactly. No, I think it's going to come eventually. I agree with you, like Doug McClain, right? You see it in the NHL. The reason they put it in was why? The Oilers won like 3 drafts in a row, got 3 number 1 picks, and New Jersey had 3 in 4 years. There's a reason why they don't do it right now in the NFL. You want to turn teams around quickly, right? Get that franchise quarterback in there. Maybe the guard, not the guard so much, but the D end, your wide receiver, running back, right? But you try to go, you finish last, worst to first, or worst to wherever you want to finish. Again, certain teams, it's going to take longer because they're going to need more draft picks, going to need more high draft picks. Team like the Giants, they have the weapons there. They have good receivers. You have, Johnson on the outside. You have Malik Neighbors. You have, your running back, Tyrod Tracy. You get a quarterback in there. This team's going to turn it around real quick. That's probably why they don't do it. But I could see it coming if a team gets first-round pick after first-round pick after first-round pick. Like the Lions probably had 3 first-round picks in 4 years, but they didn't change the rules.
Absolutely. Okay, so now you got a Devils banner behind you. You cover all the NHL teams in the tri-state area, but you're Devils first. So they came down here, had their way with the Panthers in back-to-back games. It wasn't close, as you saw. And Bob played for the Panthers in one of those. I don't believe both. But then they go to Tampa and get shut out. So what's your read on this last week for the Devils?
Yeah, pretty good week. Again, like Tampa, for some reason, to quote Lou Brown, when the Indians played the Yankees, they went to Yankee Stadium, and Rick Vaughn gave up that grand slam at the end. One day we're going to figure out a way to beat that team. That's what the Devils have to do. Tampa, right, they shut down the middle of the ice. They took New Jersey's system, and they shoved it right down their throats. The Devils did that to the Panthers on Tuesday and Thursday. They played the Panthers game to a T.
Yeah.
Bend, don't break, get the big save. Capitalize on the power play. Don't give Florida much through the neutral zone. And then you go to Tampa. Look, Jacob Markstrom is everything you want and more in your goaltender. He kept them in that game. Second period, Tampa's hounding. The Devils just couldn't generate any offense there. Vasilevsky stood on his head. Look, Spencer Knight played good in the game on Tuesday. Bobrovsky played well enough to win the game on Thursday. The Devils just took advantage of the Florida Panthers and their mistakes. You heard Paul Maurice talk about it after the game. The Devils just we beat ourselves. But give credit to New Jersey, sticking to the game plan, not cheating the game, not cheating for offense, playing defense first mentality. And then when they get to Tampa, Tampa just has a way with this team right now. I don't understand. I can't put my finger on it, but it goes back to the playoffs when Carolina just took away that stretch pass, and you're seeing it with the Tampa Bay Lightning too. They do it with New Jersey. They just take away their offensive ability, and the Devils are just not shooting enough. They overpass, especially when you're getting goal lead from Vasilevsky.
Well, they were dominant here, and it was gross to watch. Thought I was watching the Jacques Lemaire Devils from the 90s, I swear. But hey, I was kind of hoping, I actually had predicted that all 3 of the tri-state teams would make the playoffs, Rangers, Islanders, Devils, but it's kind of not looking like that'll be the case this year. Am I right?
Yeah, you're probably going to get 2 teams out of this tri-state area triangle. Probably New Jersey, the Rangers, the Islanders are 50-50 for me, maybe 60-40 out. Because, again, they're that team, right? You don't want to play in the playoffs because they play that style that wins in the playoffs, but they don't have the offensive consistency to get to the playoffs. Because Carolina's up there. Washington continues to be a juggernaut. Ovechkin, like you said before, 3 goals on fire right now. And, the Islanders are struggling. They have the injuries. They're trying to tread water. Ilya Sorokin's back playing to his form. Varlamov is there, but you got to, no Barzal. You got no Mike Riley. Romanov's hurt. Duclair's hurt up front. It's starting to get thin. Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, okay. Bo Horvat's doing his thing. Kyle Palmieri's really streaky. It's going to be a tough and tall task for Patrick Waugh and the New York Islanders to make the playoffs.
No doubt. Hey, Allie in Texarkana writes in. She says, hey, Jim, always good to hear from him. And she says, good luck with Netflix. That Paul Tyson was spinning like it was 1999. Because I was kept waiting for the AOL logo to pop up. did you stay up to watch Paul Tyson? And if so, what did you think the other night?
I mean, I saw comments on the internet. I mean, I was having fun with it with my wrestling memes because just it felt like staged and it was fixed. Felt like professional wrestling, except professional wrestling is more entertaining than what I saw Friday night. Caught the highlights on YouTube. Didn't really need to see the Netflix thing. But I saw everybody complaining about Netflix just loading and AOL and dial-up. Yeah, it was bad. Netflix got to wake up into the world of sports production and what it's like to put on a sports event. It's not that easy. If you think you can do it, good luck. Amazon had their issues with football at first. Netflix is finding out with the Tyson and Paul fight. I mean, look, again, it was staged. I mean, like, if it was a real fight, Tyson would have killed him within 30 seconds.
Okay. You believe that?
I do, actually, because I was watching highlights. I saw Mike throw a couple rights that caught Jake Paul, and I'm like, then he backed off a little bit. I'm like, all right, there's something's got to be going on here where he's not taking this fight the way it should be taken.
Yeah, I don't think either one of them did, but boxing wonders why they have the problems that they do. Mind you, with the amount of people that they made or showed up and paid to be there, maybe they don't have any problems at all. And here's me watching again. Like all of us. And, yeah, it was just turned out to be just a major sham. Jimbo, always good to see you, brother. Keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. I love it. Always to see you, Rod. And, guys, remember the motto, skate every day. Guys, take care. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Jimmy. Jersey Jim Biringer checking in from the Garden State. How about that? As Ali says. We'll be back with overtime right after this. Get all your best comments in. It's just you and me the rest of the way here on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, streaming live on YouTube and also Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
How about that?
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Lots of time for overtime, producer Clark tells me. And hey, hockey teams and fans, have you been to overtime hockey lanes in Calgary yet to improve your game or just have fun? With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, and games for all ages, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect destination to build teams, whether they're from the Calgary area or if you're on a road trip from out of town. Book your lanes today, 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. And as you see, we are back here in South Florida. How? Magic. That's how. We made it. That's all that matters. Thanks for tuning in today and making us part of your day. There is a lot of competition out there, so it means a lot to us that you're here. On episode number 1379. Sports update. Edmonton Oilers head coach Chris Knobloch says he expects Darnell Nurse to be out 5 to 10 days after a hit to the head from Toronto forward Ryan Reeves. It happened Saturday night in the Oilers' 4-3 loss to the Leafs. The NHL's Department of Player Safety suspended Reeves 5 games for his action, sparking some debate over whether the penalty was harsh enough. You know you're always going to have that debate, right? That's always going to happen. Do what you think is right. To celebrate the Toronto Argonauts' franchise 19th Grey Cup victory on Sunday, the team will host a public rally for fans from 11 to 1 on Tuesday in Maple Leaf Square. Moose is deciding if he's going to be there or not. It'd be nice if we carried a portion of it live here, if TSN were to allow us, which I think they shouldn't be able to block us. Going to be a live DJ there. 2024 Grey Cup champion team, special programming, organizational leaders giving speeches. Who doesn't always love that? The Toronto Raptors welcome the Indiana Pacers to Scotiabank Arena tonight. The Raps have lost 7 in a row and have the NBA's worst record at 2-12. Week 11 of the NFL season wraps up in Dallas tonight with the Cowboys hosting Houston. It's the 3-6 Cowboys entering on a 4-game losing streak, and they are 0-4 at home. This morning I was listening to Mike Florio. Well, I listen to Mike Florio every morning, but last week, and it's Pro Football Talk, and you probably see him on every Sunday night on Football Night in America. He's a Vikings fan lifelong, Mike Florio. I'm a Cowboys fan since 1990. And that's long enough, isn't it? And he was saying how he just discovered, and Florio's a little older than me, but that Jerry Jones is all about the show and doesn't really care about winning. And I'm like, you just figured that out? You just discovered that? I've been cheering for the Cowboys since 1990, and I've always known that. At least we got 3 Super Bowls in before Jerry had a chance to ruin it. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in and says, I'm here for the organizational leader speeches. Right? Allie in Texarkana says, glad you made it home safe, Rod. Have a terrific day, everyone. Where the heck is it here from John Ohm? Ohm says, by the way, how long is that Vancouver to Florida flight, Rod? It was 2.5 plus 6 plus hours. But we told the pilot to put the hammer down. And he did. Hey, Arlen Bruce writes in and says, congratulations. He says, good morning, RP. Congratulations to the Argos and winning the Grey Cup. Hey, RP, do you think Jake Paul should fight Conor McGregor? Also, Texans by 8 tonight. I have something for you, too. Peace. AB, I got your song, and we're going to add it to the rotation. Clark, are we able? I'm not the tech guy, clearly. So I got Loonies and Toonies in MP3 form, Clark. Can we make that happen? Oh, is there a trademark, AB? Clark doesn't think that we can because of trademark infringement. But I want to air Arlen Bruce's song on this show. But again, the IKS crew knows the ins and outs of the legalities. But I want to help AB out in his song Loonies and Toonies, which I believe was written and maybe even recorded in a strip club, right, AB? Oh, you asked about Jake Paul fighting Conor McGregor. The one thing that annoyed me was right after the fight Friday night, he's calling out Conor McGregor and wanting to fight him. And I'm like, oh, my God. We just went through this whole crap with Tyson. Yeah, and I'll probably watch if Jake Paul fights Conor McGregor. Yeah, because I watch them all. Now, I could have, like I say, been fine without watching it Friday night, but Kevin, the medium, we were staying together in Vancouver. He had ordered Chinese food. He had the fight on Netflix or the broadcast on. Let's blame him. Boy, I got sucked into 4 to 5 hours that I won't get back. Dan in Saskatoon writes in and he says, someone suggested this weekend that Jerry Jones was too distracted by the details and show of the Tyson Paul fight to pay attention to running the Cowboys this past offseason. It's possible. No, I don't think Jerry would have had anything to do with that. I watched the show. Jerry showed up, did that little, we're just getting introduced to Netflix. Well, really, Jerry, we've all been watching it for over a decade. Glad that you're just getting introduced to it. I'm a Cowboys fan, not a Jerry Jones fan. I think he just showed up and did the interview. Rented out his stadium. He had nothing to do with the organization of the fight. He's got way too much to do with the Dallas Cowboys, which, as I heard this morning with Florio, the teams that had the longest holdouts this year, 49ers, Bengals, Cowboys, are all struggling teams, waiting until the last minute to get your deals done with your star players. Oh, my God, I could go on about this forever. Hey, AB, winning teams get those contracts done ahead of time, let their players and coaches know where they stand. Never used to be the case, but that's the way that it is now. And the teams that keep you on edge, not knowing if your contract's going to be renewed, not knowing when you walk into the arena or stadium or radio station on a daily basis if you're going to have a job or not by the end of the day, those aren't the ones that are winning anymore. And that's the Dallas Cowboys, keeping people on edge. You see it. You see. Triggered. The Argos and Bombers weren't in the Grey Cup by fluke. They're doing it right. And the Bombers have nothing to be ashamed of. This has been a fun one, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
How about that?